What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. In the last video, I finished getting the front door on the Evo fully in primer. Keep up with the channel, you know this is actually my second go with this door. I didn't want 10 layers of paint on here, so I did decide to sand everything down to bare metal, at least the majority of it. A lot of it was in primer, and then a lot of the edges I left. These edges down here, I did everything by hand, got down to at least the first base coat on that area. Very, very happy though with how everything came out. All the body lines look very, very straight. All of these edges look very, very nice. For this video, I'm obviously going to start with getting the primer blocked out, and then hopefully I can get the basin clear on here with no issues this time. Stay tuned. Here is the door. You can see it completely here, fully in primer. Did backmask everything down here so you can see how it's blended in with the white on the edge. There is quite a bit of texture in the primer. If you look really, really closely there, you can see it all. I decided to upgrade my primer gun from my Harbor Freight purple gun to this guy. Main reason why I did go ahead and purchase this one is because it came with a 1.4, 1.7, and a 2.0 tip. The purple gun comes with a 1.4 tip only. You can see I've got the 1.7 tip in there, but it was just not big enough to allow this primer to flow out correctly. I mixed just the primer and the hardener, no reducer, but really wanted a higher build on this because I sanded it down to bare metal. With no reducer, having this tip on here, it was just not enough. Whenever I was spraying, you could see it splattering out. It was allowing it to flow fine, which is why I was able to still paint the panel, but that's why all that texture is there. I think if I had added a little bit of reducer with this or used the 2.0 tip, I would have gotten better results. Either way, no big deal. This thing is going to get blocked. It's going to get sanded down anyway. Here is what I have down here. I've got this sheet of 400 and 320 that I've had for a while. I don't know that I'll use that at all. This is my dry guide coat. This stuff, I've only used it a couple of times. It definitely helps to block everything flat. It helps you to see all those low areas. This is my roll of Sticky Back 600, and then I went ahead and bought a roll of 320 as well. I'm going to start out with the 600. If it doesn't seem to be cutting through enough, I'm going to switch over to the 320. Under here, these are my sanding blocks. It's just 3 of them. Honestly, I like using the smaller one even in the larger areas just because I feel like it helps me to apply more even pressure. I may switch over to the bigger ones on the main part of the door. As always, I'm not going to do anything in here. I don't want to sand all this in here. It's just going to get all over the floor and blow all over the cars. I'm going to move the door outside, get it all set up out there, and then hopefully get this thing all blocked out. I finished blocking all of the texture out of the door. I did have to use a 320 grit. The 600 was not cutting it. See, there's a few areas I've already burned through on the edges. Small areas up in here, you really just kind of have to take your time. You take that block, you just go back and forth. Aside from just taking a little bit of time, everything came out very, very nice. Door handle part over here, I was kind of worried. I didn't know how to block it, so I ended up just using my hand, and it worked out great. If you use your thumb can round out everything nicely. Just make sure you just keep going in different spots. That way you don't have any low areas, high areas. Even on the edges here, I basically just took my hands, I just slowly rounded it out just like this as I went along. As long as you don't apply too much pressure, and like I said, just keep moving, make sure everything is even. You can see the low spots because it'll be darker still. For these edges, you saw where I taped this one off. I didn't show any of the other edges, and I wish I would have now because I didn't use the tape. I saw a lot of guys using that tape to get those sharp lines, and then they would just come back and just kind of knock it off. I saw some guys just using the sandpaper to knock the edges off. Others had those gray or maroon pads. The thing is still sharp right now. I haven't knocked anything down. Even down here, you can see how sharp this line is right here. Again, I didn't have to use any tape. As long as you keep that block in the direction that you know you needed to go. What I found to keep everything the most even is to do a little bit up here, do a little bit down here, do a little bit up. Now that it is all blocked out with a 320, I do need to get it into 600 because the base coat and clear coat is not going to lay over that. You will see these 320 scratches in here in the light where the guide coat comes in. So I'm going to lay some of this guide coat all over this thing. I may just do it in sections and then basically do exactly what I just did with the 320, just do it with the 600 and knock all that guide coat down. And once this thing is completely finished and blocked out with the 600, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the masking, and I'm going to remask everything. Probably clean the door off really, really good. And the last thing that I'll need to do is touch up all of these bare metal areas. I purchased this acid etch. It's just an etching primer. I'll get this on all of the little bare metal areas, and then I'll try to get some 600 grit and just kind of scuff it down. This thing should be ready to go for base and clear after that. I'm gonna get it blocked out with the 600, get that etching primer on there, get this thing remasked, and it should be ready to go. Door is in the garage, ready to go for paint. I got all of the primer blocked out with the 600. I got all of the hard edges on the body lines knocked down. Originally I was trying to use the gray scuff pad, but it wasn't really doing much, so I switched over to the 600 grit. Just kind of brushed it like this as I went along, and it knocked it down perfectly. I did remove all of the old masking, and I got it remasked. Looking back on it, if I did it again, I would have done my etching primer first, and then remasked. I wanted this stuff to be brand new masking when I laid it on here, but you can see here I got some of the etching primer there. Speaking Speaking of the etching primer, I used some new stuff and it is absolutely amazing. Been using a lot of the Upol products. That's what my primer is up there now too. Here is the old etching primer that I had. Now granted, I have had this can for quite a few years now. 3 or 4 years old, doesn't seem that bad. But for some reason, when I use this stuff, which I've used it on other little small projects, anything that I spray it on after it cures, if I spray any kind of alcohol or Prepol, for some reason it tends to remove it. It's almost like it's never fully dried, but this is days after I've done it. Probably just gonna throw this stuff in the trash. Stuff right here is great. It is a little bit more expensive. It sprays on okay. It sands really, really nice. The biggest thing is obviously I can spray that Prepol over this and it doesn't do anything. Now that the door is ready to go, I got the Evo out in the driveway. I cleaned the garage floor really, really good. Once I get everything taped off over here, I'll do another cleaning on this part of the floor. I'm gonna get my air supply ready. I did get something new over here. When I wrapped my red hose on this side and I ran it into my desiccant dryer and my oil separator there, I had no issues. Didn't get a single fisheye in the primer. Really hoping that looping that I did allowed that air to cool down, and then when it reached over here, I was able to filter it out. Just to be extra cautious, I went ahead and bought another 50-foot line, and then I bought this guy. It's supposed to be just an industrial air filter regulator. So there's a filter on the inside of there. So this should also help to filter out any particles or moisture. One end of this green line is going to connect to the outlet of the compressor. From there, it will go up into this thing. And I'll connect my red hose to this outlet, bring it up over here, wrap it around like I did before. And from there, the red hose will come down and will feed into the oil separator and desiccant dryer. It will come out to this little green hose. This is just a 25-foot one. It'll feed into my mini oil separator, my mini desiccant dryer, and then the filter up here. And then here's my hose extension that will connect to the gun and the regulator right here. As far as painting goes, I've got my reducer and my actual base coat over here. If anybody saw the previous videos where I painted it the first time, the color match was off. I took this back up to the paint shop. The lady was able to match it pretty well. She looked at it. She said it just looked like a dirty white, and she said it just needed more of the base coat there. I did take the gas cap with me. It looked like it was a pretty good match. It was definitely better than what it was. Get the garage masked off. I'll get all of the air supply ready to go over there, and then I'll get the base coat mixed up and get it laid down. Base coat is on, not a single issue. Everything came out absolutely perfect. I did not have time to get the clear coat on yesterday, so I am doing it today. From everything that I have read, it just says as long as you put the clear coat over the base coat within 24 hours, you're good to go. Other painters that as long as it's in an actual paint booth or something like that, you have an indefinite life. mainly so that nothing else touches the panel before the clear coat goes on, I guess. For the clear coat, I will be using the exact same gun. It's just this little Spectrum gun here. I got it at Harbor Freight. Here is the clear coat that I'm going to be using. It's this Gentech. It's kick-ass clear. This is the only clear coat I have ever used. I've never really used anything else. Mainly excited though that the base coat came out as good as it did. Not a single fisheye, not a single piece of anything in there. Everything looks so nice. It doesn't even look like there's any, I don't even see any dust and dirt nibs in there. Clean the garage up one more time really, really good. And get the door cleaned off really, really good. Get this clear coat mixed up and get it laid down. Clear coat is on. It's actually been a few days, and let me just go ahead and tell you, it is absolutely awful. Looking at it right here, everything looks amazing. Everything looks smooth, shiny, nice, perfect. I'm just having a really, really hard time at mastering this clear coat. I really hope that this picks up, but there are fisheyes all at the top up here. You can kind of see, there we go. You can kind of see that little dimple right there. But if I run you up all the way here, you can see one. Let's see. There's a small one. There's a couple of them right there. And as far as just dirt and dust and debris, there's really not that much. There's a little bit right here in this big section. All these little dimples everywhere. And it looks to me like there's a little bit of solvent pop going on. It's going to be hard to see that in the camera. But there are little bitty dots everywhere when you get in a certain light. Let me get my light out here and see if you can see it just a little bit better in there. I'm not sure how well it's going to pick up, but there are some little bitty dots in there. One thing that is kind of strange is that from here down and all of this area right here, all of the fisheyes are very, very tiny on this section. Pretty certain that I can sand and polish all of those out. It's for some reason just this section right up in here, they seem to be a little bit deeper. The craters seem to be just a little bit deeper. And the last weird thing is it almost looks like there's a puddle of clear right here, but there's not. You can see there's little bubbles and rippling. It's all where the handle goes. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up, but you can actually see the bubbles. It's where the solvent just didn't make it through. The first time that I sprayed this thing, I only had a few fisheyes right over here. I didn't get anything past this. I didn't get anything up there. I thought it was that I put something on there, I touched something, and there was some sort of contaminant, and that's why they popped up. I have done some research over the past few days, and I think I have figured out why this is happening. The little dots that I was trying to show you in there, like you said, you can't really see. They are very, very small. But this right here is the big giveaway for me as far as the solvent pop goes. The fact that I can see those bubbles in there, I know it's that solvent trying to escape and it got trapped underneath that last coat. I came across one video on YouTube. I don't even remember the guy's name now. I believe that he answered my question. And the reason why I'm getting these fisheyes is it's not a contaminant on the surface. It's what he termed as solvent lay. It's basically where the ventilation is just not good enough. And so as the solvent comes up, it just gets stuck here. It never gets evacuated, it never leaves, it just kind of sits here and hovers and floats. Saw how I was painting everything. I just have my one exhaust fan right here. So basically the air is coming in from this side, the air is coming in from this side, and it's just recirculating right here instead of actually pulling the air from this direction. Then what happens is once I spray that final coat of clear over it, I leave, I'm gone for however long, a couple hours. When I come back and check on it, some of those solvents that were hovering in the air have actually fallen back down, and it says that that's what creates those small little craters. The biggest issue though right now is going to be this, because of the fact that those bubbles are there. Even if I could polish these out, I don't think I'm going to be able to polish all of this out. Once I sand down to where those bubbles are at, it's eventually going to break through that clear. So more than likely, I am going to have to respray just the clear on this. I'm not going to be doing that in this video. That will be for the next one. It does really, really suck. Everything was coming out so perfect. The primer came out perfect. The body work came out perfect. Base coat sprayed on, absolutely perfect. This freaking clear keeps kicking me in the butt. This is my best / worst paint job yet. As you can tell, I'm pretty annoyed with it. I'm kind of sick of this, to be honest with you. It just sucks when you put a whole lot of work, just tons of elbow grease into something, and then it just comes out crappy. I hope you guys enjoyed the video either way. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned what not to do. If you liked the video at all, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button so you can see me try to tackle this thing again, get that stuff sanded out, possibly have to respray that clear, see the rest of the stuff going on with the Evo, and I will catch you guys next time.